Hi everyone. As part of this problem, we need to create a quick data frame and RDD using few sample records. So at times we have the input as few sample records, like we don't have an input file from where we can read the data. So using few sample records, we may want to create a data frame and test some functionality, or create an RDD and test some functionality. So we will do a walkthrough of how to go ahead and create a data frame or RDD if we have some records and we don't have a file which will serve as the input. So let's go ahead and solve this problem. So first of all, what we will do is we will read this data as part of a collection. So it can be a sequence, it can be an array. So let's go ahead and first of all, read the data and create an array out of it. So we will have an array and specify all the data. And we will specify each of the data as a tuple. So let's do that quickly. So now we have specified each of the data as a separate tuple and created it as part of an array. Let's run this. So as we see, we have created an array of tuple which consists of three elements: string, integer, and string. So this is done. Now we have to create the data frame out of this array collection. So how do we do that? So what we will do is we will use the spark.createDataFrame function. So in this function, we will pass the array that we have just created. And this way, we will load this data as part of this data frame. And let's see the data if it has been correctly assigned. So let's run and see this. So as we see, we have the data rightly assigned. Although the column names are not proper, that we will take care. But we have the data properly loaded as separate column. Another interesting thing is the data types are correctly assigned for each of the columns. So we can further go ahead and check it using the print schema. So if we see the data types for each of the columns, they have been rightly inferred. So the create data frame infers the data type as well from the sample data that we just provided. So the only part that remains is the descriptive column names. So let's add that quickly. So what we will do is, to this we will use the 2df and specify the column names. So the column names are name, age, and place. So let's add that. So let's add these names so that we have our data frame ready with the right columns. Let's run this. So we have the data frame ready with the sample records that we have provided, and the column names are proper. And as we saw, the data types are also accurately added. So if we rerun this, we have the proper mapping for each of the column. So this way we can create the data frame, and once we have the data frame ready, we can go ahead and utilize it for our development testing for whatever we require it. Now, if another requirement was we wanted to create RDD out of this data, how do we do that? So if we want to create an RDD, we can go ahead and do so using spark context. So first of all, we'll go to the Spark context and use the parallelize method. And here again, we will use the same array that we created, that is input data. So this way we will load this data as part of this RDD. After loading the data, let's check if it is properly loaded. So for that, we will use the collect. So let's run and see this. So as we see, we have created the RDD of three elements: string, int, and string, and the data is correctly loaded. So this way we have created both data frame as well as RDD. Let's do a quick walkthrough of what we have done. So we had sample of records out of which we were required to quickly create a data frame or RDD so that it eases the testing or development operations. So what we have done is each of the record has been added as a tuple and it's added inside a collection array in this case. So after creating an array, we have gone ahead and used the createDataFrame method. And in this, we have passed the array. We have also used 2df to specify the column names properly. And as we saw, the data type was already correctly mentioned. So this way we got the data loaded into the data frame and we had our data frame ready for next operations for which we required it. And if we wanted to create the RDD from Spark, we went to Spark context and then we used the parallelize method to which we pass this collection. And finally, we using the collect, we have checked if our RDD has the data properly loaded. So this way we got the data frame and RDD created. So if you found the video useful, please
comment,
like it.
and subscribe.
If you have not yet subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel and please share the video in your circle so that more people can benefit. Thank you.